And we are live. Now, I've got the comment tracker on here. I think I have the comment tracker on here. I don't know how that works. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sunday Night with Bev and her little brother, jnull0, or Sunday Night with jnull0 and his big sister, Bev. And Mary, wave your hand in there, honey, because she's camera shy.
She's tending the rabbits real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, Mary's always with us these days, thank God, because she makes comments and chat more accessible for everybody. So how you doing today, sweetheart?
Doing good. Doing good.
You sitting out there watching Hillbilly TV, you're saying?
Hillbilly TV.
I love it. I saw your video on that, on the you grilling those steaks. Were those venison?
Those were pork steaks.
They were beautiful.
Yes, they were delicious.
But I saw that grill and your little oven and that. I did not know that was a toaster oven. I tossed one out because it died.
Yeah.
And it was a big one. It was a big one. So
that's what that one is, and it's just they got the metal plate, and then most of them's got that metal crumb tray underneath.
Yeah.
And I just busted off that plastic piece and built a fire underneath it one day, and it worked. And it got hot, and I was like, well, I might be onto something here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, what else is an oven except it's got, gas ovens usually have the heat coming out the bottom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only problem, the reason that I built it for the rocket stove over there was because it took a lot of wood burning constantly underneath it to build a big fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, there's got to be a way that's more efficient. So
those rocket stoves are something else.
Yeah. Well, one day, me and Mr. Moving On and Mrs. Moving On 04 were sitting on the back deck, and I just kind of was looking at it and looking at the oven and looking at the fire pit and looking at the rocket stove, and I was like, you know what? Experiment time to put that oven on top of the rocket stove. We lit fire, and next thing you know, it was up to like 450 degrees or something crazy. And before I know it, Gloria and Mary got pans of cake. They're like, let's bake a cake in it. I'm like, no, I just trying to see if it's experiment.
She thinks like me. I bet you're born in January.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Born in January.
What's the birth date?
1/2.
The 12th?
No, the 2nd.
Okay. She's the 2nd. I'm the 10th. Hello, Sister Capricorn. I told you, as soon as you said, let's put a cake in there, I'm like, yeah, good idea. I'd be doing that.
Well, she's always of the mindset is like, you know what, the sun's shining today, we got to use all that energy. I'm like, there's no way we're going to be able to use all the energy all day long from the sun. I mean, what more can we do? We got the solar panels going, we got stuff running off the inverter, we got stuff in the solar oven, and we got wood out in the sun drying. She's like, there's something else we can do with the sun power. I'm like, what? Stand outside and get burnt. That's about it.
Yeah, well, we have that 3,000. What is that, dear? That inverter we got? What's the inverter that we have right now? We have a 3,000 watt modified sine wave inverter. So
that's exactly what we got.
Okay, Howie's been like, well, we've got the well pump on it, and it's fine if it's just the well pump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as, I don't know. Okay, I'm not the solar person. I'm just the idea person. Like, hey, somebody gave me a solar panel. Let's do this. Yeah. And then he does it, right? That's the way it works. But there's Mary. Did you know my birthday's January 10th?
No, I did not.
John and I were just talking. You and I are soul sisters, man.
There we go.
Hi, Gravy. I hope you're feeling better. She's recouping from that surgery. Everybody, please say prayers for Gravy. She's had a couple of vertebrates in her neck fused together, and she's recovering from it. She's doing well. I talked to her on the phone. She's pretty tough, man. It's going to take a hell of a lot more than that to put her down. I guarantee it.
Well, she's been waiting for that surgery for years, eh?
Yeah. Well, she said one of the first things she said in the recovery room when I talked to her on the phone was that she could feel her fingers finally. And I think it's been a long time since she's been able to use her hands the way that she wanted to, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good news. I had one of my somebody made a comment that all my subscribers should give $2 so I can afford back surgery, and I went, what? What are you talking about? A, if you knew me, you'd know surgery ain't going to repair my back. It is what it is. I was born with it. And two, I don't have to pay for surgery. If I need back surgery, I live in Canada. I'll get back surgery.
Yeah, get Canada.
Canada.
I've had a lot of people say that too. They're like, "Oh, we should have everybody do a donation so you can build, whatever." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no,
That's
no."
not what we do.
I'm just not comfortable. I'm just not comfortable with that. I don't want people sending.
I know.
No, I'm just not. Makes me uncomfortable.
I mean, just the donations for the vet bills was amazing, but it still was like, oh wow. I don't know what to say.
I felt all funny whenever I was, when the old computer crashed, and I got this one here.
Yeah.
I felt really funny when all of a sudden you're on the video talking about let's get him a new computer and here's a PayPal, and I was like, oh crap.
Well, John, you're my little brother.
I know it. That don't make it easy though.
No, you know what though? It may not be easy.
Yeah.
And when someone offered to help pay when a few people offered to help pay the vet bills, what did you say? What did you say? You said you made me take it, so suck it up, Nancy.
The way I look at it was just another lesson in humility from the Lord.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anyway, Howie's figured out that he wants to. Anyway, we'll talk about solar another day. What were we talking about today? Okay, tanning hides.
Yes, tanning hides.
Tanning hides, cooking wild game. I threw that one in there.
Buying
prize. Cooking wild game and buying local. So you went to that local processing place and got that nice load of pork, eh?
Yes, I did. I try to go over there, a few times a year, and we try to get as much of our meat as we can from there, just because, one, it's local, it's a local business.
Yeah.
Two, he buys beef and hogs and chickens from the local farmers, so it's all local raised meat. And three, I am not a big fan of huge corporate farming and huge corporate agriculture and huge corporate sales, and I just don't agree, and I don't want to support that. I don't want to be a part of it. So by buying local here, not only am I trying to, just helping our little local hill farmers, scratch out a living like everybody's trying to do, but we're also
you're also keeping the guy who's doing the meat processing and having that available for the local farmers. You're helping keep him in business too.
Otherwise, they'd have to sell them at the big, huge markets where the big, huge corporates get a hold of them, and the big, huge corporations. And I just don't want to have any part of how they treat people and how they operate. I just don't want to have any part of it.
How they treat animals too.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah.
And
well,
he told me that just over the course of this weekend, the meat prices are going up. So get ready, y'all, because meat prices are going to go up, whether we like it or not. They're going to go up. I know there's a lot of people who don't eat meat, but I like meat. I like to have a big chunk of meat, or a little chunk of meat at least, for dinner. I don't know. That's everybody's preference. That's your own personal preference, but I like it. So I'm really motivated now to get going on this little hog lot area, so we can get a couple of spring pigs and raise them up to butcher in the fall.
Well, I tell you, when we do our canning, I can a lot of meat. For the simple reason is, if anything ever really went wrong, I can grow a certain amount. Like we can all our vegetables and everything too. Yeah. But if something were to go wrong, I can't necessarily. If let's just say, for instance, there was a huge blight. God forbid, a huge blight on everything, and I couldn't afford feed, or I couldn't get feed, or we were cut off from the feed, whatever the case may be, I would have to severely thin out my animals.
Yeah.
Vegetables I can grow, but animals, I've only got a half acre. If things go wrong, we can't feed those animals. We'd have to cull the herd really quick, which Mother Nature did for us this winter.
Even with our property, we've got just under 5 acres, but a lot of it's hillside. And we could do a lot more, and we're in the process of doing a lot more. But with the animals that we have, and the animals, say we had hogs and stuff like that, it would take every scrap of property we had to grow enough food to feed us and the animals. So
yeah, absolutely.
See, out here where I live, though, we barter all the time. We're bartering, so we can barter hay, for chickens or a goat for hay, or a half a hog this or half a beef that. Trade somebody a half a beef for a hog, or it's just we do that a lot out here. We barter a lot.
We don't believe it or not, we're just getting to know our neighbors after living here for 7 years, and because we actually don't have a lot of neighbors.
I've seen the videos where you hate your neighbors.
No, I don't hate my neighbors.
They were making a bunch of noise, and I don't.
No. That was when Mom and Pa went away, and the adult kids came to look after the animals or whatever, and they had a party. And in all honesty, I have not had a problem since I stepped out on my deck and said, "Hey, you gonna shut it down, or I gotta call the cops?" Because it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they didn't realize that we could hear them that loud. Because we're up the hill and they are down in like what you'd call the holler. They're down at the bottom of the hill there.
Yeah.
And they're in like a concave. So it's like a big speaker if you think about it.
Big amphitheater down there.
That's right, exactly. So I mean, when you got the air conditioner going, the TV going, and the fan going, all the windows closed, and they're keeping you awake at 3 o'clock in the effing morning, then it's time for Mama Volfie to step outside and say, "Hey, you gonna turn that down, or I gotta call the cops?" It's like, nope, no problem. So I mean, in all honesty, I've never had a problem since.
Good.
And and here I was harboring all these negative emotions about the insensitivity of my neighbors' kids, when I realized they probably didn't know.
Well,
so if I said something earlier, I wouldn't have had to put it up with it that long.
Young people don't realize stuff like that. You have to have those kind of experiences in order to learn that those kind of.
Well, who said? Oh, you just muted out, honey.
I said young people usually have to have those kind of experiences in order to learn that sound travels.
Now listen, let's talk about some tanning here, because we got a whole bunch of rabbit hides, and the only thing I ever did was, I haven't done anything with them yet, was those rabbit hides I nailed to the side of the barn and then salted and scraped. So you're talking vinegar and water, and people are going to want to know some measurements here, John. So kind of eyeball it for us, will you?
All I do is, when I take a hide that I'm gonna tan or dry, because it's not, I don't know if it's really a tanning or just a drying, but I'll take a 5-gallon bucket and I'll fill it full of water, and then I'll put in probably 3 or 4 tablespoons of salt and 3 or 4 tablespoons of vinegar, and let that hide soak in there for 24, 48 hours whenever I get back around to it. And then I take it out and nail it to a board or stretch it over a board of some sort, like I've done on those couple of skinning videos that I had. Yeah. And then as it starts drying, flesh it. I either take like a little putty knife or my little draw knife.
Yeah.
And try to get as much meat off the hide as I can, and I just let it dry. And the vinegar and the salt really preserves the skin and the fur. There's different ways to do it if you don't want the fur on there, if you're going to use it for a leather or something. But I don't know anything about that. I just do mine with the hide on. Yeah.
Why would you take the fur off unless you
Well,
even
like
got the fur on the inside.
Well, but if you're going to tan, say you're tanning a deer hide, and you can take the fur off of it and use the leather to make stuff.
Right.
Because that's all leather is tanned hide.
Yeah.
So
buckskin makes nice moccasins.
Yes, that makes. I mean, I know people that's made belts and holsters and knife sheaths and all kind of stuff out of the buckskins that they tan. But I usually just leave the hide on it and just hang them. And there's an old fellow down the road that sometimes if I get a really nice coon hide or a really nice hide of some sort, he'll buy it. And then I don't know what he does with them. But
now, when you do that, does it come out stiff and hard?
Yes.
Okay, so how do you soften that up?
I would re-soak it just for a little bit, just to kind of wet it down, and then just work little areas at a time, rubbing it and soften it up. Just rub it and soften it up, and once you rub it and bend it and work that hide a little bit, it'll loosen up and soften up, and then the whole thing will just become pliable.
But you have to soak it again.
I do, just because. I mean, I don't know if you have to, and I know a lot of Indian and Inuit people would just fold the hide up and chew it like that.
Well,
and that's yeah, and then that, just using their teeth to work the hide, it softens it up really good.
Well, I also, if you got deck railings or whatever there,
yep,
you just wrap that around a deck railing and grab both ends and start. Well, here, let me wrap it around like a pole from your pole barn or your deck railing, and you wrap it around once and pull it through the loop, and you pull it back and forth like this.
Yeah.
That will soften the majority of it.
Yeah, or even a clothesline.
You have to work the edges.
Yeah, even a clothesline, just pulling it over a clothesline back and forth like this. We'll work it out and break it up enough to loosen it up real good.
Howie, you got some hides to soak. We're actually thinking of, we have my little freezer. I don't know if you can see that little freezer right there. That's my little freezer. We have one that's twice that size down the basement, and the only thing in it is bones and hide. So I'm going to have to make some broth soon, but I'm actually thinking of selling that freezer because we don't, it's just Papa and I, we don't use it, right?
Bring it down here, I'll buy it off of you.
Maybe we'll bring it down.
Yep,
Maybe
bring
we
it down
will.
here. I'll trade you a rocket stove for it.
Oh, that sounds cool. That sounds cool. We'll get it all cleaned out and washed out and that. I mean, the freezer itself is only, I don't know, I bought it about, 8 years ago or something like that. It wasn't that long ago. But I mean, I bought it because back then, we weren't living here.
Right.
We were living in a rental house, and I was stocking up and stuff. But I actually can a lot of my meat, like I was saying earlier. Like I freeze meat, okay? Deer, pork, especially deer. When I do the deer, I vacuum seal it with the olive oil and the steak spices, and then throw it in the freezer. But still, this little freezer does not get really all that full because 50% of the meat I can, regardless. Because if for some reason we had to get rid of our meat animals, or the majority of the big meat animals like goats and pigs and stuff, if something ever happened that we couldn't do that, then I've got a stockpile, or not a huge stockpile, but I've got it in jars. Like I've got canned rabbit, canned chicken, canned cube pork. Well, that's about all I got canned for meat. But I mean, the summer before last, Howie went fishing up in the camp and got like 6 or 7 lake trout, and I canned those up, and they come right out like salmon. Ooh, so good.
Cool. Yeah, we can up a lot. We can have a lot of everything. I mean, we're getting ready to make another big batch of refried beans. And I know a lot of people are like, you can't home can refried beans. Well, I do it. I've done it for years, and we just finished up the last jar that I did beginning of last summer, just a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, it was fine. I pressure can it, and it was just fine. Well,
I can bake beans. Well, they're not really baked,
Yeah.
They get baked in the jar.
Right.
But I mean, I'm going to bring you some of those because that dark molasses baked beans. Whew. But what else were we going to talk about?
Well, they're really not a whole lot to tan. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of tanning hides. That's what I did, and I've done a couple of videos on them, and it's really pretty simple the way that I do it.
Right.
There's people that get fancy with brain tanning and all that kind of stuff, but not me. I try to keep those things as simple and as I can, because that's not the only thing that I have to do that day if I'm messing around with hides. Hey, Bob. Sorry, Bob Potter.
That's okay. There's a lot of we covered that. There's a lot of Bobs out there.
Yeah.
No, and I don't mean out there out your way. I mean out my way. I got a family full of them.
There's a lot of Bobs everywhere. I wish I was Bob. That way you could get drunk and spell your name backwards and it's still Bob.
I want to say thanks to everybody who gave me the well wishes. My back is doing much better, but most of you don't know that we just bought a new to us truck because our little white Ford, she was only a sport model, and we were going to kill it. The clutch was going to die because we were just using it way too much. Anyway, this Dodge Ram that we got takes a step stool and a cane for me to get in and out of it. And I kind of sprained my wrist and my ankle, but I had to drive that truck. I had to drive that truck. Now, you were telling me about when we come down, we're going to have Dove. And you were saying how you cook Dove. That sounded really good.
It is really good.
Well, I mean, you get a little dove. You get a dove, and they're about the size of quail. How the heck do you, make that?
I just take the breast right out of them because there's not really a whole lot to them. I just take the breast right out of them, and I cut the breast meat right off of the breastbone, and I take a half a piece of bacon and wrap it around, stick a toothpick through it, and then throw it on the grill with a little dab of barbecue sauce, and woo-wee, it'll make you lay on the ground in a fetal position and cry out for mama.
Or smack her because she could never cook that good.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's they are flying grade deliciousness. That's why I told Howard to get some shotgun practice, because hopefully Uncle Buck will be down here that same time, and we'll go down there. We'll go down to the feed lot. We'll try to put a hurting on them doves and get a little dove thing going on.
I still have to buy my shotgun, but I figured, raising turkeys this year, I'm not going to bother going out for the turkey hunt this year. But I still have to buy a shotgun, and so that's just not in my financial budget right now, especially since we bought the truck. Yeah. I got to tell you, it is not the newest vehicle we've ever had, because we finally, a couple of years ago, that Hyundai Accent was the first new car we've ever had, and I still think you shouldn't buy new if you can get secondhand. That's really nice, right? And I'll tell you something. This is a Dodge Ram 4-door, 4x4, 1500 with a 5.7 liter Hemi. Oh, we may not drive it very often, but when we do, oh my God. Oh my God. I tell you, I am so looking forward. We're not renting the campland this year because we just got too much going on this summer. But I tell you, my mother-in-law was sitting on them little folding seats in the back of the Sport going into the camp, and that's a 15-mile run through the bush. And here she was 70 plus years old, bouncing around on this little wee folding seat behind my seat.
Yeah.
God love her. She's willing, that's for sure. So what else? Let's give us some wildlife recipes here, John. You're better at it than I am.
Well, it's I don't know. I did have some questions on the when I was butchering that deer in them videos. People asked me what I did with it. I treat it just like beef. Deer meat I treat just like beef. We can some of it up. We cut steaks out of some of it. We'll have some up. We try to tenderize it up and make chicken fried steaks out of it. Anything that you do with beef, you can do with deer. And,
I told my cousins, like, I'll never eat venison. I said, oh no, you got to try my venison.
Yeah.
Because this year was the first time we ever got a deer, because you folks got to know, Howie and I are new to guns and hunting. Period. Like period. We, first we had to sober up before we'd allow guns in the house, and then we decided, well, we're going to be 10 years sober before we bring guns in the house. When did you get your first? 2011, I think. So it's only been 3 years that we've actually, got into this lifestyle, and I'm loving it. But I tell you, that little buck he got, that was it was not 2 years old.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh my God, talk about tender and tasty.
But I mean, other than that, I've done the recipe. Oh, excuse me. It's been long. I've done my, we barbecued that coon. I cooked that coon. I've got a video about that. What else we done? We've done that snake. We did cook the snake. Got a video on that. Just barbecued it on the grill.
You've done the deer.
The only thing I really need to do is to do a crispy fried groundhog, and that's probably going to be whenever you're down here. We'll do some crispy fried groundhog.
Yay! I can't wait, because I'm telling you, when we drive down the highways and we see them on the hills, and they're smart, they live in town or close to town, and I see them, and I said to Howie, they gotta be good eating. Yeah. They have to be good. Look at those plump little buggers.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're not bad.
Well, I'll tell you, when you do rabbit, if you can rabbit, put a piece of bacon in it.
Oh, really? I do that.
Put a half a piece of, that's what I did. Put a half a piece of my homestead bacon in the jar with the rabbit, and then raw pack it, and oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I didn't get to say, hey Gravy, if you're watching, wow, you are one tough lady. I'm hoping you're feeling better really soon, and we'll have you back on and tell us all about it as soon as you're up to it. And the kids are doing fine. They're up to the 2 1-liter bottles a day. Oh, because she's the one who gave me all the stuff on that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's as far as cooking wild game. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we eat. I don't know. It's just part of our food source. You know, it doesn't really.
Of course.
We don't look at it as cooking anything else. You know, we fry it up. Pretty much the groundhog, we quarter it up and chunk it up and fry it like chicken. You know, chicken fried.
Well, you're talking to a girl who was raised in downtown Toronto, who was hamburger, hot dogs. Dad got steak occasionally, and we had roast on Sundays, and we had turkey at Christmas and Thanksgiving. I mean, when it came right down to it, the first wild meat we ever really ate was when I found the squirrels living in the roof, and I trapped them with rat traps and did that. But I mean, I'll be doing that again because those were tasty. And you got questions there?
Oh yeah.
Why did you say something? Tell me to shut up.
No. PJ Noslet once she said, "What is your opinion on fresh roadkill?" The way I look at it is, if I know how that animal died and it's fresh and it is not tainted and it is not obviously sick, I'll eat it. It's meat.
You did that with a deer recently.
I did that with a deer recently. The deer we did the butchering videos on was a roadkill deer, and I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it just makes me angry to see, on one hand, you have all these meat prices going sky high, but yet you've got meat laying in the middle of the road rotten. I don't like that. Yeah, and I don't. I mean, if you eat coons and you run over a coon, or you see the car in front of you hit a coon and run it over, and you get out and it's not too bad tore up and it's not obviously sick, you know, you can tell by you can tell whenever animals are sick. Usually, it's pretty obvious that they're sick.
Well, their fur's not in the greatest shape.
Yeah.
They're emaciated. They're
whenever you
tell
clean
a healthy
them
animal from a sick one for sure.
when you clean them out and you start removing their entrails, you can look at the liver and make sure it don't have any spots on it, and the lungs and stuff like that. And as long as you're comfortable with it, I say go for it, because I do it quite a bit. Bill and Rosa, how did using the new and improved outdoor kitchen feel? It was awesome. I cannot wait for you guys to come back here. And it used actually a lot less wood cooking this way than what it did before, because it took so much more wood to build up a hot pile of coals when it was on the ground, because the ground just sucks the heat right out of your fire.
That concrete will reflect it.
The concrete worked really great, Bill. I was happy. It worked great. I can't wait for you guys to come back here and check it all out. And you're gonna dig it, man. It works really great. Shalimar,
Shalimar perfume.
Yeah. Isn't mink oil the thing you use to soften hides / leather?
You can use any oil to soften leather.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use any oil myself. If I'm going to soften it up, then I'll just kind of dunk it in a little bit of water and just work it. You can pull it over a board or something like that and work it, and it'll soften up eventually. I never used any oils, but I mean, it makes sense. Mink oil, you can use it on everything leathered for, if you're curing it and softening it up. So it makes sense to me. Go for it.
Also, if I lost it. I am losing it. I'm telling you. Smoking. Once your hide is all, if you got the fur and everything on it, now, folks, I have not done this. I'm only going by what I've read, but I am going to put it into practice. If you have a smoker, like we've got, like a cold smoker or even a warm smoker, once your hide is worked so it's soft and pliable, if you smoke it for a certain length of time, it will make it weatherproof. That's what I heard. Don't quote me. Do your research.
I've never done it. I've never done that either. James, how do you make canned meat taste better?
Season.
Yeah, you can season it. Sometimes if we're canning beef, we'll just take and put like 1 drop of Worcestershire sauce in there or something. Just add a little bit of flavor. Or if we add salt and pepper sometimes. Just season it up however you like it. Whenever you cook meat, season it however you cook it, and then can it up like that.
Well, also, yeah, exactly. Like when I'm canning it, if I'm raw packing it, I will toss that cube meat in garlic powder and salt. What are you looking at, honey?
There's a bunch of geese flying over. If they come back, I might get my shotgun and be back in a minute.
I just toss it in salt and pepper and garlic, well, like you said, whatever you like, if you're raw packing it. If you're packing it cooked, I will pack it in broth, but only if I'm packing, like, canning cooked meat.
Yeah.
Which I don't seldom do anymore. I mean, raw pack is best. It just holds the juice better.
A really cool little trick that I learned from AJ Prepper and Hillbillies in the Bush was that whenever they're canning their deer meat, they'll take like a half a beef bouillon cube, and toss it in in the jar. That way, that makes a better gravy. Whenever your meat's sitting in the jar, it makes a little bit of gravy in there, which is really cool. It works good.
Awesome.
Hey, PJ, huh?
I said, "Hey, Mabel."
Yeah.
They're behind your thing.
Somebody asked me what kind of breed she is, and I'm pretty sure from the color she's a Holstein, but I'm not sure.
I think she's definitely got, what do you call those? Border collie.
She's a blue tick. I think she's pretty much blue tick mostly.
I think she got beagle.
Really?
Blue tick and beagle, yeah. Or Holstein.
She's adorable.
She eats like a Holstein, we'll put it that way. PJ wants to know, do you dry your meat/jerky? I have, yeah. I don't do it a lot because usually, I mean, meat is pretty expensive. We've got some extra deer chunks in the freezer that we're gonna make jerky out of at some point, but right now it's unless we get a couple of good solid rainy days, we're outside time right now trying to get spring, the garden areas cleaned up and burned off and tilled up and just outside stuff, getting it done. But because it takes usually a good day or so to make jerky. We make it we have an Excalibur dehydrator, which is just fantastic.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
You got the king of dehydrators.
Gravy says sparrows are yummy. I'll take your word for that. I've never eaten a sparrow gravy.
Okay, Gravy, are you still on your pain medication, dearie? Because, I mean, that's a lot of work unless you're going to trap them with a net or something.
She's on her pain med. She's hanging out with Jerry Garcia right now.
Tell Jerry Garcia we say, hey.
I called her earlier. I'm like, how you feeling? She's like, oh, far out. I can see the music, man. She didn't really say that. She says she's getting it. She's just got it figured out to where it's she's not tripping, but she's not feeling any pain either. So that's a good thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it when you're not feeling any pain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't have too many days. The only time I'm not feeling pain is when I wake up from surgery and I'm singing. That's about it.
Said more, but it was a lot to write.
Susan Rogers wants to ask, do you two have recipes for baked and refried beans?
That's John. That's you, John.
I've got a video on making refried beans somewhere back in my past videos. I think you can search our channel. Just go to our channels and go to the upload section of our channels, and there should be a search option somewhere where you can search just our channel.
Right-hand corner.
Right, and then you can just search refried beans.
I don't do refried beans.
I made a video about making refried beans, and then I made a video about making refried beans off-grid for Bubba whenever he was having his contest, or the low buck prepper. When he was having a contest, I did it off-grid. He wanted off-grid cooking, so I did refried beans off-grid, which was really cool.
Have you heard any news on Bubba's dog? Not to get off topic here, but...
No, I haven't talked to him. I talked to him yesterday, and it's pretty much like his last video said. He's just kind of waiting to see for sure what he has. But that medication is just going to. I mean, he don't eat the low buck. He doesn't have a lot of money, and but he loves them dogs. They're his kids. He doesn't have any. Him and Cat don't have any kids.
Those look like Staffordshire Terriers, like the breed of the pit bull.
Justice, the one that's sick, is it's an American Bulldog, full-blooded American Bulldog.
It's beautiful dog.
I mean, that's Bubba's. That's his
baby.
That's his kid, man. Yeah. So that medicine is really, really, really expensive. If that's indeed what he has, once they get it all verified and stuff, and then we may, I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to help Bubba pay for that medicine. Maybe we'll do a little fundraiser or something. I'll make
that might be. I was just thinking that would be a good idea as soon as we find out, because
Bubba's hurting. Bubba's hurting because he hates to see his dog suffering. I mean, who wouldn't?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It was like Clover, my goat. Yeah. As much as she was a dairy goat and she was giving me babies and stuff, I mean, I got pictures of her climbing on my back because she was my baby. They're my kids, you know.
Yeah.
So
My brother's a good dude too, man. You know, he's got a good heart. He may get a little goofy on his videos, but you know who doesn't? And he's just a good dude. He's a solid stand-up dude, and I would try to do whatever I can for him.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
oh, Mary's writing again.
Okay, what do we got, Mary?
Starting a garden. Any tips? Meat? Starting a meat garden?
No,
What is that?
that's
You
for the
can't
next
grow
question.
meat.
For the next
Of
question.
course, I am going to try them cheeseburger seeds again this year. I've got a couple of tips. We're going to try.
When we started our garden here, the only place we had was on top of the septic bed, and I don't care what anybody says. You know, the grass is always greener over the septic bed, which means there's some good shit in there. But we covered the entire garden with leftover roofing tin. You can do it with landscape fabric. If you don't want to deal with grass, if you're putting a garden in where there was grass, you are best to cover that up.
Yeah. If you got any farmers around you that they use them big sheets of plastic to cover up their feed pile, sometimes whenever they're done in the wintertime, they'll let them. You can get a big couple of sheets of that for free. It's got the white on one side, the black on the bottom side.
Yeah.
And those make really good weed. That was a little trick that I learned from Swamp Rat Man 2000. He's a farmer up in New York, and he said that's what he uses after they're done with the wintertime covering their feed sacks. What the hell? What the hell is that?
Rain?
The plane flying over. But he said that's what he uses, and that's a pretty good trick too if you got any big farmers around.
We got a huge tarp that's blue on one side and black on the other, and that puppy covers the entire garden.
Yeah.
And in the fall, when Howie, pulls everything out, he covers it with the tarp with the black side up. Basically, like he'll spread the barn leavings on there, and he'll put the tarp on it, black side up. And in the winter, it snows on it. But in the spring, when that black starts showing, that cooks whatever's underneath.
Yep.
And brings the worms to the surface. It's just wonderful stuff.
Well,
Then we just put that tarp up and use it again in the fall.
Something else that we're doing too is we're going to build our little chickie pen where we got the peep show.
Yeah.
With the little chickies, we're going to move that pen over because we're going to be tilling that area and planting it here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to move our chickies into the garden and let them just eat up all the little grass sprouts and all the little seeds and all the little stuff that's in there now, scratch it around, and then we'll move them back. I can get in there and till it and plant it. And then we're going to do the same thing in the fall. After the garden is done, we'll move the chickens back onto it and let them clean up the garden area too. And then we put tarps down at weed mat and stuff like that as well. I would say too, don't waste your garden space. The first year that I gardened, I grew a whole bunch of shit that I just didn't.
Absolutely. Keep it simple.
I look at my garden as the same as I would look as a produce section of the grocery store. What do I need for whatever I'm making? What do we eat the most of? We want to make soups and chili and stuff like that. That's what I grow. I don't grow a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to eat.
Tomatoes, well, and I'm not even supposed to eat a whole lot of tomatoes, but tomatoes, cabbage, beans, squash, I mean, those are all staples for us. Corn, if we can get it, but I discovered it was deer that was eating my corn.
Will you be doing a smoking meat vid? Maybe. I've already got a couple, and I think you got a couple too on using the smokers.
Just I hot smoke my bacon. That's about it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of back in a couple years ago when I was smoking some meat. And when the first gathering that I had here a couple years back in the summertime, we smoked some meat in the new smoke. That's when I had this new smoke shack here done because the old one.
That's a cold smoker, isn't it?
It's a yeah. It's either or. It's either or. I got a barrel to the side where I can cold smoke it, and then I got a place underneath where I can build a fire if I want to warm smoke, hot smoke, and cook something.
We have that old enamel baby bathtub, and somebody that we use to, like, how he builds a fire, and then he just digs the coals out, puts them in this baby bathtub in the bottom of the smoker, and puts the chips on it. Yeah. And someone just had a shit fit one day. What do you use that antique for? I said, well, when I bought it at the auction, it was full of stuff. And I didn't notice there was a hole in the bottom that somebody had closed with a nut and a washer and a bolt. So that's all it's really good for.
Yeah.
I mean, it has other uses, obviously, but yeah. I think we're going to look into building a cold smoker. because we really, there is no other bacon but what we do. It is the best. I'm telling you, it's so good. But we're moving our fire pit this year, and we're actually thinking of building a permanent ground oven for doing like whole hog and stuff if we ever have a barbecue and whatnot. Because we experimented with that 22-pound pork hind roast and the rub, and we did it in the ground oven, and that was the most delicious pork. I'm drooling just thinking about it. It was the most delicious pork we ever had.
Awesome.
So good.
Chips for her.
Yep.
How are the turkeys doing? And Jay, what kind of pigs do you want to get?
Okay, you answer your pig question first.
I am probably going to get, I think they're called Hampshires. There's a dude over in Milton, West Virginia, over next to Ona, about where that meat processing plant was that grows Hampshires. He's got some Hampshires that I'm going to try to hopefully maybe work out a deal to get a couple of them. If I can't get any of those, then there's another dude that I know over on the other side of Lawrence County here that does Landrace and Chester Whites, which are a good, nice, long breed of pig. You get nice long loins and stuff like that out of them. So either those two or those three are going to be my preference anyway.
I'm keeping it local too. I've got a lady. Last year, the last 2 years that we've raised pigs, we've driven over an hour and a half to 2 hours to go pick those puppies up, and you folks saw them riding in the back of my truck. We're not talking the box, we're talking the back seat. But there's a local lady, I'm starting to get to know the people, and there's a local lady who has a red, like I had. What the heck was the name of that pig? Anyway, she's got red pigs and black pigs, and she doesn't really worry about, who breeds with who as long as they're not related. So I'm hoping to get 3 piglets off of her. I actually have to phone her tonight or tomorrow. So, the turkeys.
The turkeys.
The turkeys. Turkey and Rockstar, or Turkey. Turtle and Rockstar seem to be boys. I'm going to be doing an update soon. And Little Slowpoke seems to be a hen. And my 3 other ones and the two Americana chicks are out in the porch. They're doing awesome. The Narragansetts, Mom Pa Kettle, laid 2 eggs. I have those in the incubator with my chicken eggs just to see if he's fertile yet, because I'm curious. He's almost a year old. So we'll see. Everyone's doing great.
That'd be nice. That'd be a big bonus for this year.
That would be.
Michigan Snow Pony. Hi, Renee. Love your stuff.
Hey, Renee.
How can I get adopted into the family? Can I be the bratty cousin? Well, first you're going to have to deal with that crackling problem that you were talking about.
The crackling addiction?
That crackling addiction. You're going to have to come down here because I get all the cracklings around here. I'm not sharing my cracklings with my bratty cousin. I'm just saying. Michigan,
Renee, the first step is admitting you have a problem. Good for you. Yes, you're definitely in the family.
I'm John. Hi, John. I have a crackling addiction. Hi, John. It's okay.
Hi, John. Welcome.
Mabel, go. You got all this stuff to go check. Go. Be a dog somewhere.
Oh, Renee, I watched that movie that you mentioned called Goodbye World. It was a good movie right up until the sappy happy ending. I'm sorry, it just wouldn't have worked in the real world, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Jenny, when will you have any baby meat rabbits? Hopefully 31 days from today. We bred our meat does today. We had, when we bred them last month, one of our does didn't take, and the other doe gave, they were all stillborn. We lost a whole litter for some reason. I think it was because the night that she had them was one of them really crazy cold nights last month, and I just think that they just didn't make it. So sometimes rabbits are finicky whenever it comes to them, giving birth and keeping them alive. So hopefully 31 days today.
You got dead stock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was it a buck or a doe? I haven't checked yet, Gravy. Gravy wants to know about that rabbit because we got that one doe that won't take, and she's like, well, maybe it's a buck. I was like, that'd be kind of odd, but...
Did you squeeze its bippy parts?
Well, I'm going to double check it. I know we checked it whenever we got her, and I know they checked it whenever our neighbor girl who used to raise rabbits too, she went and picked them up and brought them out to us. I know she checked them, and I know they checked them there, and I know we checked them here, but I'm going to double check it again tomorrow. That's my neighbor's leaving. Sorry.
That's okay.
We're gonna. I'll check
it's spring when the four-wheelers come out.
I'll check them again tomorrow just to be sure, and I'm pretty sure that it is. But if it is, if it turns out to be a buck, then I guess we're having rabbit for dinner tomorrow night.
Woohoo! Save some for me.
But I will let you know, Gravy, as soon as I find something out. I'll get you on the phone and be like, damn it! Now I feel wrong. I got these two dudes in the cage and they're all rubbing on each other. It's just.
Oh, come on! I had 5 rabbits. I paid, got the cages and the rabbits and everything. The guy assured me which one was the buck. I had lesbian rabbits. I'm not kidding. They were doing the nasty and bumping and grinding and all kinds of stuff. And I realized later when my friend Nancy, my little friend Nancy came and said, Bev, don't you know how to sex a rabbit? I said, no. So she showed me. God bless her, because she's, she knows a lot more than she admits to. And turns out I had all females. It wasn't until I got, Charlie Brown that the business really started happening.
Yeah. Well, we've got the one San Juan doe that she still, she had a litter and she raised them up just fine last fall, and then she had trouble this past winter. I think it's just because this winter was so rough. It was just such a hard winter. She was just like, look, man, I'm not going to bring these babies into the world because I can't take care of them.
Well, that's the nature of things, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, they're pretty finicky, them does are. Some does are anyway. If they don't feel like they can support them, all the other family, then they just won't have them.
Or they'll kill them.
Yeah, they'll just kill them and drag them out and leave them.
Well, I tell you, those wolves I was telling you before we went on air, those wolves that we heard when I was in the barn, they left a big, big present about not even 20 feet from my front door. And it was one of those things where it looks like wolf scat, smells like wolf scat, full of hair, tastes like wolf scat. Sure glad I didn't step in it. But that puppy was the size of Howie's boot, and it was in my driveway.
Oh.
Yeah, so, normally wolves and us get along just great, but, we don't like them that close to the house. Not when we got little dogs.
We don't have any trouble with wolves. We don't have very many wolves here in my area. We got a lot of coyotes, but
you got a lot of coyotes too. But there's there's something about when I hear them, and I know there's just something different. Their song is different, right? Normally the wolves don't bother me, but this had to be a big boy. Because Howie's got a size 11 rubber boot, and it was next to the size of his boot. It was huge.
Rabbit Farm Hobby, where did you get your rocket stove? I got mine from silverfire.us. It's a Silverfire Survivor rocket stove. You should be able to use the discount code Silverfire1 and save a little bit. I don't know how much, but I think that discount code still works for a certain percentage or something. I'm saving, so silverfire.us, and then enter the discount code Silverfire1. I got the Survivor stove as my rocket stove. The other stove that I use is the Hunter stove, and it's not a rocket stove. It's what they call a T-LUD, the top-loading updraft stove. It's a biomass stove, whereas a rocket stove is a stick burner.
I love the stick burner. I got a really good deal this weekend on a double burner, like a tabletop propane stove with 2 burners.
Yeah.
And it came with the hose and everything to attach it to a 5-pound tank. And I'm going to use that this year for canning outside, so that I'm not, because now that we're doing the solar and we're going to be putting the wind turbine and stuff up, you don't want to be heating up your house full of steam and humidity and heat.
Yeah.
And then have to turn an air conditioner on, a window unit on. That's just wasting all your power. So I'll just be putting that out on the table out on the deck, and I'll do my canning right outside.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the rocket stove to can most. I know.
Don't get me one of them.
Yeah, because you clean up your yard, you can up your whatever, and you don't heat up the house, and you don't have your heater on high, or you don't have your burner on high when you're trying to get this canner going, and you know what? Screw them electric companies, man. They got enough of my money over the years, and they get enough of everybody else's money. I'm going to try to keep my money in my pocket, and they can just go.
Absolutely. But if you like you said, I have an electric stove, okay? So just to get that burner up to temperature, then the canner itself is almost like a radiant heater when that thing's all up and going.
Yep.
And most of my stuff takes 60 to 90 minutes to can.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to let it cool down. So you're talking hours worth of heat coming off of that canner, plus the burner, plus the steam. You know, that's a lot for your air conditioner to cool down, and that's actually the only reason I have an air conditioner in my living room, because it's right next to my kitchen.
Well, it takes a lot of. I'm the same way. I got a. My house is all electric, and my stove, man, it just sucks the juice, man. You can just feel it. You can every time you turn it, it's like ching 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 ching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like there's got to be a better way. And when you did that video on using the pressure canner on the rocket stove, that was just amazing. That was like really cool.
Well, I had always been wondering about that, and I know there's a lot of other people that have been wondering about that because I've seen some comments and questions, and I was like, you know what, we're going to find out. And now I know 100% certain that you can on a rocket stove because I did it. And I'll do it again, and I'll make another video about it. I'm not scared. I ain't scared. I'll do it. Do it and get it done, y'all.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So anything else? Any other questions?
Any more questions?
PJ, do you use a pressure cooker to can outside?
Yes.
We just said that.
We use a pressure canner. I use a pressure canner / cooker to can outside. Last year I even did, it was tomato sauce, it was salsa or something out. We canned it on the water bath canner outside on the rocket stove.
I remember watching that video.
Yeah.
You used that thing, that bowl, or no, that was something else with the holes in the side. What is that? You had a bowl for on top of your rocket stove, and it had like a heat vent around the outside of it or something.
Oh, that's the dragon pot.
Yeah.
It's the skirted pot that they sell at the Silver Fire. The Silver Fire Company sells them,
How
and
big is that?
maximizes every bit of heat that stove puts out. It's got a skirt. It's like inside you've got your pot bottom, and then around it you've got a metal sheet, and then it catches all the heat, and the heat goes up around the edges of the pot, man, and it heats them up like that. They get hot and quick.
How deep is that pot? Like, could you put a little wire rack in the bottom and do boiling bath canning in that?
Pints maybe, but
you could probably do a couple, maybe two. You know what? I don't know. Maybe 1 or 2 quarts or a couple pints. But yeah, you probably could.
Because I mean, you know, as you all know, we don't always have a lot to can.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a picking of beans. Well, the beans are a pressure canner, but if you got a basket of tomatoes and you want to do a couple of pints of salsa or some barbecue sauce, that would be a really handy thing.
You know what I did? Was it last summer before last? I had a couple of onions, a couple of peppers, just a couple of things that came in all at once, and I had a little bit of leftover. I think it was deer steak, so I just fried it all up like fajitas and canned up fajita meat. Then all we did was later on we just got some tortillas and dumped out our fajitas onto a skillet, warmed them up, put them in the tortillas. Boom.
Yum.
Canned up fajitas. Yeah, it was awesome.
I can't wait to do some cooking with you.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have some
The
fun.
food is hot, brown, and plenty of it, just the way I like it.
What's that?
I said the food is hot and brown, and there's plenty of it. That's just the way I like it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Although I've still got the picture of the wolf scat out in my driveway, and that kind of threw me off the hot, the brown, and plenty of it.
We won't be canning or cooking any wolf scat.
No.
You probably have to pressure can that, too, because there's all the bone and the hair in it.
Spread that on a cracker, John.
Oh, we're just sitting around canning up wolf poo. What are you doing? What? I got to go.
Yeah, it's real good on a saltine. Don't even get me started on crackers, John. Let's just forget we ever had that discussion.
well, heck, I'm sure we could chocolate coat some goat turds too.
Actually, they'd look like glossettes, wouldn't they? Chocolate covered raisins.
Hey, what happened to that big pile of goat and rabbit poo? Oh, what are the kids playing?
That was blue. All right.
Somebody wants to know if I sneak a little bit of bourbon in my holy crap, that's good coffee. LOL. Who's LOL? Oh, that's a laugh out loud. Never mind. I keep thinking about somebody's initials. LOL. Like, who the hell is this LOL person?
Yeah, my son just now, when I'm talking on the phone, and he'll say, blah, 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 lol. And I'll go, what?
No, I haven't drank bourbon or whiskey in a long time. I think it was because I got tired of waking up beat up in jail and not really knowing what happened. So I quit drinking whiskey probably, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago. So no, I drink a beer every once in a while, a PBR beer, of course. And that's about the extent of it.
What's a PBR beer?
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Oh, Pabst, okay.
And
I don't drink whiskey either because I end up dancing naked in the rain and pregnant and shit. Whiskey was my drink. Whiskey and cigarettes was my drugs of choice.
Yeah. Well, we keep a little bit of some little bit of stuff around. We call it Grandpa's cough medicine. Hint, hint. And
yeah.
We are in the hills. We keep some of that around, but we use it mostly as medicine. Hey, Bird, we're trying to do this over here. You want to be quiet? I appreciate it.
That's a lovely sound, John.
Birds.
Birds everywhere. Any more questions?
Spring has sprung, and I am so glad.
Oh, you and me both. You and me both. Howie's pulling sap out of the trees. Well, he wasn't pulling sap out of the trees. He was dumping the buckets.
Right.
This evening. So we'll be boiling it soon, probably on the weekend.
Jeez, I can't stop yawning. I'm sorry, y'all.
What? We had a long day, babe. It's almost time for bed, too.
Yeah. Moving on, 04. Hello, our other sister.
Hello.
How long is your growing season, Bev? And do you start your seeds on the indoors?
Oh, God. I am having a hell of a time with starting seeds this year. I don't know what it is, but yes, most of the time we start our stuff indoors. Our growing season starts from May 24th, and depending on what I'm growing, it ends by Thanksgiving, and I mean Canadian Thanksgiving. The reason we have Canadian Thanksgiving is because our seasons are a lot shorter than yours. We usually end around mid-October, except for the squash and stuff. We leave that in until the first hard frost. So, yeah, it's pretty short. You got to start a lot of things inside.
Yeah, we've had a heck of a time, too. We had a freeze, I don't know, 4 or 5 nights ago that did some of our seedlings in. I forgot them outside because I was just old and tired and bad at sports, and I just forgot about them being outside. And
old, tired, bad at sports.
just
whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, Glowworm, that little video of your granddaughter pretending to can the little jar in the canning pot in that kit. Oh my goodness, that was so precious. I mean, yes.
Start them young. That's the way to do it.
Absolutely. I'm hoping my kids will let me near their children if they ever have any. You know, they kind of think I'm crazy. Briar still thinks I'm crazy.
Well, we are a little bit, but you got to be in this nowadays day and age.
You got to be to keep smiling, that's for sure.
That's someday. Right. That's right. Mary's writing something down, so I'm thinking it's not a...
Okay, we're getting down to about 3 minutes there, folks, so you got questions, get them in now.
Let's see. Jenny. Yeah. Sorry. Hi, Jenny. Sorry. How do you control the temperature when pressure canning on a rocket stove? The canners that I have a weight where it has a pressure gauge and then a pressure release weight that you put on there, and I put it on 10 pounds, and that's what actually regulates the amount of pressure in there. I just keep the rocket stove going, and if it gets more than 10 pounds of pressure, then the weight jiggles, and it goes, and it releases the pressure. And when it gets that 10 pounds, then it's at a constant 10 pounds. I don't know how to describe it because I'm an idiot, but I'm sure Beth can explain it a little bit better. It's it's like a little nipple thing on top that you can put a weight on top of, and all my pressure can. Nipple. Yeah, it is, and you put a weight on there, and it regulates your pressure in there. And I just keep pumping that rocket stove and letting it go, and then the canner itself does the regulation.
I want to get one of those with a pressure gauge on, with a pressure thing on top, because mine only has the weight.
Yeah, so yours just sits there and goes,
yeah. Right? And if it gets too crazy and insane sounding, like it's like, Then I just turn the oven or the stove burner down a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, if like in whenever we're just regular cooking, you just control the heat with the amount of sticks that you're putting in. If you need a little bit less heat, then just take, put a couple of sticks in. If you need more heat, more BTUs, then cram that combustion chamber full and crank out the heat.
If you're not new to canning or pressure canning, I wouldn't try it right away on the silver fire. I'd get your canning technique down first.
Agreed.
So that you know what your canner sounds like, especially if you have one that doesn't have a pressure gauge on the top that tells you what the pounds are. So, get the feel of your canner before you start trying experimenting like Brother John does.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been canning a long time, so I'm familiar with how my canners act and what is, what's going on with it. So I agree. Especially anytime you get a new piece of gear, use it the way the manufacturers say to use it properly, and then kind of get a feel for it like you would anything else.
Yeah.
Diva, hi Z. When we going to see a possum cooking video down there in the Carolinas down there eating possums? No, not me. Now, you're going to have to go over to Ironhead 41's channel for the cooking possum video, because we do around here anyway. I do what I call possum in a hole, which is when you shoot the possum, you dig a hole, and you put the possum in the hole, and you cover the possum up, and you leave him cook forever.
I've never even seen a possum.
I think Ironhead did a video. Man, Ziva moved down to she's all kind of country now. Talk about eating possum and stuff down there.
No, not me, thank you.
I'll tell you why. Because the first time I seen a possum come out of an old, dead, bloated deer carcass, I was done. Yeah, I was like, nope, I will not be
eating carrion.
Yeah, I will not be eating any of these critters.
That'd be kind of like eating a buzzard, wouldn't it?
Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. I don't know. I
love Sam. I love Ironhead 41. But I'm telling you, I watched him can weenies once. And I went, okay. So I take everything he cans or cooks with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
Sweetheart, but I just ain't canning no wieners.
He's a great dude. I'm just not eating possum.
Oh.
Or turtle eggs. He did a video eating some turtle eggs. He made scrambled turtle eggs. I'm not doing them either. Sammy, love you to death. More power to you, brother. But I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. So, Zita, we'll leave the possum cooking video up to you, dear.
Not me. Anyway, do we have any more questions? Because we're just about out of time.
Yeah. How do you get rid of what?
Japanese beetles.
Japanese beetles. I wish I knew.
I don't know.
While we're on the subject, how do you get rid of stink beetles?
I don't know how to get rid of Japanese beetles, and I don't know how to get rid of stink bugs. We got
What's a stink bug?
Stink bugs. Well, you'll see when you come down in October, because there'll be plenty of them around. There's these little bitty bugs. I don't even know how to describe them. They're little. You squish them and they stink. They're just
what
called.
Do they look like?
Little brown bug. I probably hear. Wait, there's probably one flying around here in a minute. But they're not native to us. They've come over from someplace. Somehow they've gotten here, and now we got to deal with them. The Japanese beetles will just destroy a garden, especially like grapes and stuff like that. So, I'm not gonna, I don't know how to get rid of them either. I know that there's like some traps and stuff that people do, but I've never done them because I've never had a serious issue with any of the Japanese beetles out here. But I don't know.
I only have one solution, and that is if you don't have beehives, get yourself some guinea hens. They will eat everything that crawls, flies, or gets anywhere near your plants. That's about the only for sure way you can get rid of bugs.
And they will let you know when there's something in your yard too. Guineas. Well, I'm not going to have guineas because they're really annoying, and I'm not going to have them because they're not very good to eat. But yeah.
My aunt used to make a wicked guinea hen, and they're all dark meat apparently.
I've never eaten them. I don't know. I don't know. They're really annoying.
Yeah.
Because they're all day long. They're like, there's a leaf blowing. Leaf, look, it's a leaf. Look, everybody look.
Oh my God! You let the dog
out. There's birds flying in the sky.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway. Any more questions before we sign off?
Nope, I don't think there is. And if we do, we're sorry. We'll try to catch them up next week.
And you can always ask on the, because I'm going to repost this on the our Half Acre Homestead tomorrow, and we will do our best to answer any questions you may have then. There you go.
I just had to do that.
This is the this is the Mrs. Volfie from our Half Acre Homestead, and my little brother.
jnull from jnull0.
And Mary in the background, who we could not do this without. There she is. We're going to say good night, God bless, and hopefully, if all goes well, we will see you next week.